So I've always been one of those people that gets lucky when it comes to like low-income apartments on the Housing Connect website, right? I've been selected for like 10, and I lived in 3 of them that I've been selected for. And at first, when you move in, you're like, oh my God, this is so beautiful, right? But that only lasts the first year, maybe second year if you get lucky. Because it's a horror what comes after the 2 years. And I'm speaking on my experience, where I've lived, because I've only lived in the Bronx. It just gets bad. Like, I don't know what happens. So basically, you know, after a certain year, people don't want to pay the rent that they want. So what do? They give it to people in shelters, which I have no problem. Let me publicly say that with people who live in shelters. I never have. But a lot of them are not mentally stable. And that's where the problem comes in, right? So in one of my buildings, it was great. As soon as they started letting people move in from like the shelters or the homeless space places, the domestic violence in the hallway was crazy. And I have children, and I don't want my daughters to see that. So I used to be like, oh my God. The next thing was the garbage in the hallway. The dogs, letting the dogs piss and shit in the hallways. Things that we never saw before. Like, I was just like, what? Like, in a year, the building went to like shame. Like, it was destroyed. To me, it was like, if you keep your issues with your partner in the house, I wouldn't care. But when they spew out into the hallway, it's just like, really, like, it's too much. And then the other thing that would happen was the stealing of the packages. Oh my God. Because they bring their people in to hang out in their house, or sometimes even start living with them. And oh my God. The other thing that I had to deal with was the men who moved in and the comments that they were saying to me. It was all the time. Like, oh, pretty lady, which is whatever. But once you start getting like a little sexual and saying like weird stuff, like, oh, I would love to sleep with you. Oh my God, if you was my girlfriend, I wouldn't leave. Ew! So I'm just saying, to each his own. But that's my experience, what I went through. The buildings be great at the start, but the max you're gonna get a nice clean building is 2 years. After that, it's over. And it's like, I don't blame the people who move in, because I blame management, because they should keep up, you know, with the building and the people that they move in. Like, you know where these people are coming from, so make sure you have someone who's always cleaning, always on top of it. If they do something wrong, like, let them know. But that's my experience. Getting an apartment in the housing lottery is not always the greatest.
So I really want to talk about why people are having bad experiences in these new Housing Connect buildings and why they're moving out. But first, I'm going to tell you why I turned down 3 Housing Connect apartments. So first off, the first Housing Connect apartment I was contacted about was last year sometime, and that apartment wasn't in a convenient location. So I turned it down. Then earlier this year, I was contacted for another apartment, but it was a 1-bedroom, and I have a preteen, so I turned that down. A few weeks ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, I was contacted for another apartment, which is the apartment in this video, and it's a 2-bedroom, and I actually like it. But by the time we got to this apartment, I had done some research on these Housing Connect buildings, and I've seen some people testimonies and the experiences they have had in these buildings, and I did my own research, and I think I might have a possible reason why these buildings are going downhill. This right here, in my opinion, the income requirements are the reason why these buildings are going downhill and why people are moving out. If you look at this, the maximum income requirement for this building is over $154,000. However, the minimum is $0. So someone who makes no money can move into this building. And the people who make no money are people coming from shelters. No offense, no shade to people in shelters. Everybody go through things, but we all know shelters are not the safest places and don't have the safest people. It's also people that are getting, government assistance, SSI, whatever, So these people, they're paying little to no rent. They don't care about the building. They don't care about messing it up. They don't care about where they live because they're not investing in the building. So this is why I turned down the third apartment. This is also why I stopped applying to lottery apartments with a $0 minimum. When I do move, I want to move into a safe building, not where people are doing drugs and destroying the building. I want it to be safe for me and my son. I hope the people who got the apartments I turned down like it, love it, and take care of it.
Everybody want Housing Connect until it's 5 o'clock in the afternoon. I can't even take a little nap before school. Hold on. Wait. Hold on, I gotta put some pants on. Oh my God. This is crazy. What the fuck? What happened? What happened? This is crazy, y'all. When you get into these Housing Connect buildings, make sure you do your research. Oh my God. Messy. It is messy. They went inside? I don't.
To walk into my Housing Connect apartment that is like falling apart. Watch how cold it's gonna be in my apartment when I get in. Nice little, you know. Now, mind you, I have my heater on, both heaters on, to up to 80 degrees all night. All night it was on. I turned it off this morning when I left to drop my daughter off at school. Now I'm coming in. Watch how cold my house is gonna be. Little slight mess. See that? That's a 44 degrees. That's a 47 degrees.
Housing Connect for reports. Alright, you're not having a good experience with New York City Housing Connect. You guys already know how my experience went. So what happens after that? I know a lot of the girlies, and by girly I mean everyone, I just like using that word. But I know a lot of you are also going through something similar like me. And now you're wondering about what is the transfer process, or did they move you to another apartment? This is what's happening in my process right now. So we did meet with the landlord. We did ask about some transfer options, which we haven't heard back from at all. Our first year lease was up literally New Year, so that was kind of perfect timing. But we had re-signed a year 2 lease, which that is the lease that we want to break. So like I said, we did ask about the transfer process. They're gonna get back to us. I'm gonna be honest, I don't want to be in that building. There's a lot of tea about that building. I am okay. I'm good. No thanks. Long story short, we're still waiting to hear from them. They've been taking their sweet time. Luckily, I am super blessed to have my parents that always open their doors for my sister and I. So I'm not even counting on that process, but if you are someone who's counting on it, I would just be more on top of them. So emailing them, calling them, things like that. There were some really good comments people left in my first original video. So if you also are someone who's been through that transferring process with the Housing Connect, New York City Housing Connect, let us know how you did that. Okay, like how did you end up transferring, and all of that. Maybe some tips that we can do in order to help that process continue going.